First tonight, I can reveal the Albanese government didn't tell the public about the boat arrival of asylum seekers for a matter of days before the news broke on Friday. The Prime Minister said he was caught unaware about the arrival on the West Australian coast on Friday afternoon. But a day earlier, on Thursday, there was widespread knowledge of the illegal arrivals among Defence personnel. A source contacted me about the illegal boat arrival on Thursday evening. I hadn't yet verified this tip-off. Clearly, something is not working in the national security apparatus when an illegal boat can bypass surveillance, maritime and border security and authorities for up to 2 days before anyone is any wiser.
I think what we need to recognise is that they're patrolling an area of sea which is just massive. They're patrolling a Western Australian coastline which is huge, and in that sea are huge numbers of fishing boats that look much the same as any asylum seeker boat. And so the possibility that one or two may slip through will always be there.
Boats for votes now, is it Peter Dutton? He's desperately wishing that more boats arrive so he can try and win a few votes. Frankly, his confected national security crisis is ridiculous. So about 30 blokes wash up on a remote Western Australian beach, having dodged crocodiles. They've already been put on a plane and taken to Nauru, and he knows perfectly well that they'll never be allowed to settle in Australia. So Peter Dutton's having a screaming meltdown over 30 blokes who arrived on a boat. Yet when he was minister and the Liberals were in government, more than 100,000 fake asylum seekers arrived in Australia by plane. He's got nothing to say about that. He doesn't want to talk about that. Under the Liberals and Peter Dutton, the Department of Home Affairs signed contracts which he knew about with people accused of money laundering, of human trafficking, of breaking US sanctions on Iran. The migration system was misused, as the Nixon Review found, by money launderers, human traffickers and people accused of the worst crimes imagined. He doesn't want to talk about that. Malcolm Turnbull called him a thug. Well, I call him a fraud.
What Mr Richardson found was that under the stewardship of the Leader of the Opposition, potentially hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars were funneled into companies which were engaging in alleged criminal wrongdoing. Because this happened on his watch. The questions that the Leader of the Opposition needs to come forward and tell us is what did he know about this and when? And why does it appear that after almost a decade in positions of leadership, he never asked a single question about any of it?
Mr O'Neill has been available, was on Radio National this morning doing serious interviews. What she hasn't been doing is what Peter Dutton's been doing, which is just making things up. The bloke who wants to be the alternative Prime Minister of Australia says, and in his irresponsible comments, they can be seen as nothing other than encouraging this activity.
The Labor Party spends every waking hour, bagging the crap out of me.
I mean, let's be clear about what's happened here. A really small number of people have arrived in our country and they've stretched out a hand and asked us for help, and they are desperate and vulnerable people. And instead of the debate being about how we could collectively as a country engage in a human response, a humanitarian response, a response based on Australian values like compassion and decency, the whole debate has become turbocharged and become about national security and border control. And of course the reason for that is because Peter Dutton just salivates when a boat arrives.
The Labor Party spends every waking hour, bagging the crap out of me.